What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and this is Regular Guy Training. So we're going to cover a couple of things today. One is the sale, and the other one is just stuff that I'm working on that we're going to be producing here soon. Yeah, sorry, I haven't been quite as active as I normally am as far as just reviews and that kind of thing. I've just been, frankly, busy between open enrollment classes, private classes, and Army stuff, honestly. So just as of late, I've been a little more active on the away from this side of the house, so we just got to do what we got to do here. So let's talk about the sale. Through Monday, I figured I would give dads a break because they rarely get them. They rarely get them ever. So we're just going to go with that, and we're going to go with a sale where everything is heavily reduced in price. I mean, heavily reduced in price up until Monday. After Father's Day. I've also added, by the way, this includes private classes, and we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. I've also added a couple of, more than a couple of open enrollment classes to the schedule. This includes a couple of Drakesboro, Kentucky classes. One is on night vision. I'm working on a vehicle that might or might not be a thing by the time the sale starts, and a regular pistol set that will go down later on, later this year. Not sure if it's later this year or next year, whatever. Point is that that's all the stuff that's Drakesboro, Kentucky, that's close by to where I'm at in Bowling Green. There's that. Ohio's still up. Pennsylvania's sold out, but I'm working on Pennsylvania later on in the calendar. But Ohio is available for guys to sign up to. We also have Georgia and Mississippi. That's also available for guys to work out as well. So a couple of things are in motion while I'm getting ready to do this. In addition to this, for the guys that have been interested in private classes and that kind of stuff, pricing for that varies a little bit depending on what it is that you want, how many of you are there, as far as number of people, what exactly that you want to do, how long you want me out there, and that kind of thing. So for, you're going to have to throw up a business inquiry either through the phone number on the website or through email to get all of that started. And whatever my pricing is normally for that, if you want to actually do private classes, that's going to get cut in half, at least for the time being. For those of you that are already in the private class pipeline, that should have cocked an eyebrow, because there you go. Because you can get it started, and then you can trickle in everybody else that was a sucker and didn't handle this in the next few days as far as the sale is concerned. So we can knock all that out here. And as far as open enrollment classes are concerned, a lot of you may have realized that there isn't umpteen bajillion of them on the website anymore, and that's only because the private classes, again, you guys have been taking up a lot of my time, which I don't have a problem with, as far as the private classes are concerned, for one reason or another. Either it's a very specific thing that you want to work out with you and the wifey, or it's a group of you that want to get a bunch of work done, but you don't trust, random guys from open enrollment classes and that kind of thing, which I understand the reasoning behind both. So it is what it is. And for the rest of you that just want to show up to a class and do the open enrollment stuff, the option is there for you as well. So those options are open and they're available. So we'll put a pin in that, and we'll see what happens. Every time that I do something remotely close to this, my emails explode for the next few days, which is good. Because it's always good to be training up people, especially new people. It's always good. It's always great to have a bunch of butts and seats, that kind of deal. So let's talk about some stuff here. A lot of people have been asking me about both of these objects. The first one being the cheap Aimpoint T2. I don't even know what this is really freaking called. It's something close to what they called the patrol rifle optic, when that was a cheap Aimpoint Comp M2, I guess. But this is the T2 version of the Pro, I suppose. So we'll see if this thing is up to snuff. It's got quirks, obviously, but you know, that's why we have a testing process, and that's why we're going to use it over a period of time, particularly with night vision and stuff like that, to see if it's up to snuff, to see if it's actually worth your money. Because optics, it's really easy to make optics look really good during the day, but you start using them at night, and that's what separates all of them all the time. So we'll see what happens from there. Speaking of night vision, we have the Somo Gear PEC 15 clone. Look, I'm not going to give my opinion on this just yet, whether it be a positive or a negative opinion. Because when I first saw this, my brain was essentially like, get that cheap piece of shit out of my face. Over time, it has impressed me enough to warrant a legitimate test of its capabilities and how far it's actually willing to go and all of that jazz. So I'm not sure if this is up to snuff. I doubt it, but the video from this will more or less, good or bad, put that whole thing to bed. So we'll see if this $270 thing is actually able to keep up with most things. Again, we will see. I'm not going to throw out any opinions just yet, good or bad. And, you know, because just like any other gear review, unless it just utterly smashes competition, there is always good and bad. So we will see if it is worth your dollar. Moving on. So the next thing that we're going to do here, and the gear that's on this may actually change, because I have a Aimpoint T2 that is bored and probably looking for a home. And we also have a P.E. Myers mall that we can test as well. So we're probably gonna move some stuff up here a little bit. However, you know, it's not the Draco or the stuff that's on the Draco. It's the handguard. This is from Sure Shot Armament. It's yet another AK rail that exists. That's trying to take market away. It is fairly unique in that it's one of the few that doesn't bolt anything to your barrel or ask you to chop anything off, you know, because there's still that guy that's there. M-LOK stuff and all this jazz. This may not continue to look as it does at the moment, but that's simply because, you know, I'm probably going to rotate some gear out and that kind of thing for other stuff that I'm going to review. But so far, I actually really do like this. It's, you know, just because of the capabilities that it gives you and the fact that it doesn't clamp itself to your barrel. Is it up to snuff? I have no friggin' idea. A lot of people give Sure Shot Armament, you know, an endorsement, but we've also taken heavily endorsed gear and beat the brakes off it and weren't impressed at all, even a little bit by it. So we'll see we'll see what happens there. And yeah, stuff is likely to move on that because, like I said, a P.E. Myers mall is likely to go on board that, and we'll see what happens. So it's just stuff that I'm working on right now that's within arm's reach. There's other stuff that I may work on to include. I might try to get my hands on, for instance, the 22 caliber Glock that's floating around and that kind of deal. Mostly because I've gotten a bunch of questions about that, and I have heard of their teething issues, and I've also seen more than one come through class. The results of that we'll talk about later if I'm able to review that. So there's a bunch of stuff that, you know, that we're working on here, but we'll just have to see. So that's just some updates. Like I said, go get it if you want to check out the or take advantage of the sale that I'm only going to leave up here for a few days. And remember, guys, regular guys firearm is the last defense against tyranny. Be easy.